Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to STARJUMP Station. It's been a while. It's been a long while, actually, probably a month or 2 months even, probably 2 months.
It's been crazy.
Yeah, but it's good to be back with everyone. I hope you're all well. Looks like we got a little bit of a crowd in chat, which is great to see. A lot of STARJUMP friends showing up in chat tonight, so thank you all for coming out and hanging out with us. Hopefully you can the audio's good. I want to go ahead and put out two quick things. Obviously, first I want to say, a hello to my fellow STARJUMP founder and co-hosts, Ender, STARJUMP Ender. As you know, he was just streaming on Twitch. Make sure to go to his Twitch and check him out. That should go without saying. And then, obviously, Starlet, who is right down here below, and she just waved to us in a new kind of window, and we're going to get into what that is all about. Starlet, how are you?
Doing well. How's it going?
Going quite well. You wear fishnet better than anyone. I just need to go ahead and get that out now.
Hey, it's fashion, right?
Yeah,
it is indeed.
Starlet is still on her way to STARJUMP Station, obviously, still aboard her 890. Coming in hot, though. But we can go ahead.
Coming in hot.
Exactly. We can go ahead and get this going. The other thing I wanted to go ahead and just tell everyone right from the top, is going to be a little bit different than our usual STARJUMP stations. Usually STARJUMP station can be 2-3 hours. This one's going to be a little shorter, a little bit more to the point, but still going to be a lot of fun. I'm also using new broadcasting software. I'm on OBS and not Streamlabs OBS. We're now on YouTube and not Twitch. This is very much the first test bed run of that, so expect problems. Expect me to make several mistakes. Expect Ender to laugh at those mistakes. And expect me to disregard his laughter.
Also often.
But, it's
we'll figure it out.
But first and foremost, let's just talk to each one of y'all, see what y'all been up to. Ender, what have you been up to lately?
Lots of new job stuff. Just prepping for this new job. And also giveaways. We're doing a lot of St. Jude stuff. I got some stuff from St. Jude.
Awesome.
This is actually probably my favorite thing that I got. Sorry if that was loud, but that is actually a St. Jude's kid saying thank you for donations.
But that's awesome. It came across as a squeak, but that was great. That's a really cool. That's actually a really cool.
It really is
sent out to you.
Bean Boozled. This has not been good for me. They have all been bad except for I had two good ones today. I had a peach and I had a berry blue.
So they have good ones in there. They're not all bad.
Well, it seems that 2 out of the 14 or 15 that I've had so far have been good. So either A, I am primed for just a list of really good ones, or I am in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
We're doing giveaways and stuff. Actually, everybody that was in my stream, sound off with your Twitch username, and I will start adding points to you guys for the giveaway. Because I did say if they came over, they were going to get some points.
And what's the giveaway that you're doing?
We are doing a Avenger Titan giveaway this month. And then as soon as... right now it's for St. Jude. And then as soon as Pause for People gets their stuff, we are going to switch over to Pause for People, awesome. Which is Pause for Vets for us. So
very cool. Sounds like there's a lot going on. I know you've been kind of getting settled with the new job schedule and stuff, and there may be a change in your schedule at some point. But the streaming you're keeping alive. You're getting a little bit more regular again. I know you had some off weeks because a lot of stuff was happening. But
with this job, the job just got nutso for me, and it's nice to finally be back.
Yeah, but for the Ender fans, he is back to streaming pretty regularly. So definitely check him out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, right? Ender is generally when.
Yes, it'll be Thursday. Yeah, so it'll be Thursday nights, Friday nights, and Saturday nights. Pretty soon, it will be until 3 a.m. or so.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah.
Awesome. And then, of course, we have Starlet. Starlet, tell us a little bit about what you've been up to and where and how you are beaming in to STARJUMP Station tonight. I'm going to switch over to the full hero Starlet because she's looking just too good to keep in a small window.
Gosh, what have I been doing? My goodness, I'm trying to give up coffee today, so that's going to be fun. It hasn't hit me yet, so far so good. Well, actually, really good news. Someone who I won't name has finished all of the artwork for Fleet Viewer, all of it. It's all in my hard drive.
That's true.
It's nuts. There's so many files. So
and we're going to talk a little bit about we're going to talk a little bit about that here in a minute. We got some factoid numbers to go over in relation to that.
Oh, cool. So I'm streaming in today from an 890 jump. This one in particular is in a metaverse type program. It's not actually in Star Citizen because it doesn't support VR yet. But hopefully one day it will. And we're going to show you a few things today that hopefully will inspire some ideas about what it might be like when that is in the game.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. And let me kill this. I knew I would leave one open. We're going to keep going back to Starlet and how she's kind of beaming into us right now from the metaverse, from the VR world, and it kind of ties in a lot with our main topic tonight, which will be all about role play, immersion, fashion, and everything that sort of falls under that umbrella of what it's going to take for us to feel or to really live in the verse, right? To really feel like we're living in the verse. So we just thought it was a great episode for Starlet to do this, and we've sort of been talking about it in the background, and based off some recent comments by one of CIG game devs, VR could be something that's actually sooner rather than later now. So
I think we should call this episode "How You Immerse in the Verse."
Yeah. This is probably going to be our first
Immersed in the verse.
Exactly. That's a good. Yeah, that is a good title. It's also going to be our first not safe for work episode. The episode will feature me and Ender slowly stripping throughout the episode.
100%.
Yes. So Starlet, we're going to
keep people watching.
Exactly. You get it. This is why we went to YouTube. I'm telling you. So we'll keep hitting back to Starlet. Everyone, this is going to be a pretty casual conversation tonight. We really just sort of have three main things to hit on. We're going to give you a quick update on STARJUMP Fleet Viewer. We're going to talk real quick about Invictus because we got some Invictus news this past week. So we should at least hit on that. And then we're going to jump right into our main topic. And it's going to be kind of it's going to be a conversation that we're just going to let go in whatever direction it naturally goes. We don't have like a hard format for it. But what I did want to do was go ahead and talk a little bit about, let's see, do I have that up? I don't have it up. We're going to talk a little bit about Fleet Viewer. As you know, Fleet Viewer is a project that we've been working on for some time. We have constantly said it's being worked on, progress is happening, it's happening. And, people have been patient with us, following along development, and the big question is when. And while I can't give a date on that yet, what I can begin to do is talk a little bit about how far we have come. And so to give off a few kind of factoid numbers that people might find interesting, the project started exactly 1 year and 8 days ago from today. It started in late April of 2021. So
it sure did.
When the project started, for some weird reason, I thought this was going to be a 6-month project, and I don't know what I was smoking or drinking at the time. It was obviously really good stuff. Yeah,
I was there for that. You were definitely blue meth all the way.
Blue meth all the way. But I don't know what I was thinking. I vastly underestimated the work that would go into this, and thankfully, Starlet really stepped in early in the project and gave me a bit of a reality check on some stuff and showed me the possibilities. So, so 1 year ago and about 8 days from today that started. So a long in process STARJUMP project. We have close to 1,000 renders, I believe, or somewhere thereabouts. And sometimes those renders could be 5 minutes long. Sometimes it could be over an hour long. And then there's probably about 10 minutes of comping, what's called comping, for each image, which is sort of how we process them for Fleet Viewer for the backend. So, if you times all that by 1,000, it's a lot. It's a lot. So big shout out to, the STARJUMP collaborators, VMXEO. I believe he's in chat. Obviously gets a huge salute. Ventovar, I don't know if he's in chat. Obviously a big salute to him as well. And of course, James, the Stormtrooper, really great dude, supported me very early on one of the Drake projects, the Drake cinematic. All three of those people are absolutely critical to getting this project done. It couldn't have been done without them. A couple other facts. We have every single ship in Star Citizen represented, including variants. Or some variants, I should say. Variants that are unique SKUs. It's unique SKUs, right? Starlet is how we're handling that?
Yeah, every hull variant.
Every hull variant. Yeah.
We've got every single one. And we've got a few extra paints on top of that as well.
Yeah. And what's one other cool thing that people may not have realized is we have 22 Easter egg ships. Or some of them aren't even ships, but 22 Easter egg entities that you'll be able to spawn in Fleet Viewer as well that are really cool. We wanted to do something that went beyond just the ships, so I think we did that. And this is just version 1, and me and Starlet have a lot of plans for version 2 down the road and whatnot. So yeah, that's Fleet Viewer. Really coming along. As Starlet said, I and the collaborators have finished all art for Fleet Viewer. We are pencils down on the project. All assets have been handed over to Starlet, and she is plugging that stuff in to the back end. The good thing, though, is that Starlet actually had been working on the back end before all this, so it's not like she's starting from zero. The updates from here on out regarding Fleet Viewer will probably be coming more from her. She'll bring that information to me, and then we'll disseminate when it can go out. But I think things are looking bright on the Fleet Viewer side of things. I mean, we've really passed a major milestone. Last but not least, I wanted to go into 2 other things real quick before we get into Invictus. And I see Ender had just thankfully posted the links. The first one is our merch store is live. I don't know where my background isn't there. Oh well, it disappeared. Okay. So
I think yours is better. I wish mine were just that.
It doesn't look terrible. So our Fleet Viewer, our Fleet Viewer, our merch is live. Obviously, my brain has been fried by the Fleet Viewer. Our merch store is live on Teespring. Definitely go check it out. We got some fun stuff out there, and it's really just the first bit of stuff we set up.
Yeah,
we're going to do a lot more funner stuff, though. I'm trying to think of like really fun inside jokey stuff that
Look,
would be.
We're going to have a lot of sweet StarJump swag.
I've already thought of a good one, by the way. I think we should do some. You know how you get your quotes that Lisa has pulled and Griff has pulled?
Oh yeah.
We need to pull like the top 5 quotes and make T-shirts out of them. I'm just saying.
All right. So we need to pull that out and find out.
Yes.
The favorites. Yeah. All right. We're on it. We're on it.
So definitely go check out our merch store. Ender has posted the link down there. That's the Teespring. The money we raise on merch, and I'll go ahead and tell you right now, Teespring gives you a kind of a where they think they should set your profit margins. And like for a t-shirt, they want you to make a profit of like $10 on a $20 shirt. I put everything almost at the lowest settings. I think on almost everything, we make maybe $1 to $2 or at the most $3 profit. And that was just because some of that you can only go so low on. And the reason is we wanted to get it out to you as cheap as we could, but also whatever money is raised there obviously goes right back into StarJump projects. Obviously, one of the first big ones is Fleet Viewer for maintenance and upkeep and all that. And giving tokens of appreciation to our collaborators. That then goes into our next and final sort of announcement before we talk about the topics for tonight's show. And that is our Patreon. Oh, let me restart that. Is our Patreon. We've set that up, and there's got links down there. We got a bunch of different tiers from $2 all the way to $100. Those tiers bring in some really cool stuff like custom or monthly 4K wallpapers that I create from the cinematic assets. As you go up in tiers, you're going to get things like custom livery 4K wallpapers, possibly even 8K wallpapers or ultra wide wallpapers. Again, all these will be custom, nothing pulled from Star Citizen concept art. This is cinematic assets created. And if you're one of the people that got a tier where it's like a custom wallpaper, there's going to be a hero ship and all those wallpapers that you're going to be able to switch out for whichever ship you want in your livery. And then finally, the last two tiers, we wanted to do something that was really, not just like chat access and simple stuff like that. So our last two tiers, our $50 and $100 tiers, for the $50 one, you're going to be getting a piece of STARJUMP merch from the merch store for free, and for the $100 one, you get 2 pieces of merch free, and another. So you're instantly getting back on your donation to us. And on the $100 tier, something that's really, really cool is that you will get one unique or custom livery ship added to Fleet Viewer, excuse me, on our regular quarterly updates. So if you do that tier and your favorite ship is a Gladius and you want an orange and red Gladius or whatever, then we will create that. It will go in the queue. And on the next quarterly STARJUMP Fleet Viewer update, we will plug those ships in to Fleet Viewer. They'll be under maybe like a special Patreon or supporters ship category. Excuse me, got the coughs tonight. So that's a really cool reward. Again, we wanted our Patreon to really do some unique stuff. If you have any questions or comments about some of those rewards, or especially that custom livery for the Fleet Viewer, definitely reach out to me. I think I can answer them. We've had a couple people pledge at that level. And if you are one of our Patreon supporters, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you. That money will go into showing some appreciation to the collaborators that really worked their tail off on stuff for this Fleet Viewer. It's going to go towards help hosting the Fleet Viewer website, helping maintain it, helping Starlet offset any costs, etc. It's really going right back into the project. So we really, really appreciate
100%.
it. I do want to preface, though, as I've always said, the Fleet Viewer will be 100% free. You do not need to support to it. Free. It's not premium. It's not going to be paywalled. Yep. It is free to the community. We are using a lot of assets that are pulled from Holo viewers and stuff. So because of that, this is a totally free endeavor. So really appreciate it. Thank you to all the patrons. And even if you're not a patron, you're just one of our STARJUMP fam and you're hanging out with us, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're not the biggest Star Citizen community, but as I've always told you, we are trying to do unique and fun stuff and or really put a lot of effort into charity stuff like Ender does. So we really try to hit hard on those lines, and that's kind of speaks to the STARJUMP ethos. So
is it okay if I talk charity?
Please, yes, that's a good segue into that, and then we'll go to Invictus and then our main topic. So Ender, hit it.
Only because you mentioned it. So yes. Guys, we are currently raising money for St. Jude. They sent a whole bunch of stuff, Bean Boozled, some really fun stuff, stickers. There's some stuff that I'm sending to our moderators, some pins, which are actually kind of cool. And then they're going to send us stuff, I guess, for hitting specific donation goals. Most of that I'm actually giving away. I'm only going to keep a shirt. And the rest goes back into the community who has been so amazing and just giving for St. Jude. Now, that is going to go on until we get Pause for Veterans Tiltify. Essentially what a Tiltify is, it allows us to give direct donations and track those donations so that we can do things like giveaways. Like, for example, right now I'm doing a Avenger Titan giveaway. And those are 2,500 points from my channel. that people can use, or they can donate $5 to my Tiltify link to St. Jude, and I will then give that 2,500 points, and they'll get a free entry into that. We're going to be doing stuff like that throughout really the year. We're doing a D&D campaign, and until that campaign is over, we will be raising money for Pause for Veterans and St. Jude. So that's what we're currently working on. Feel free to reach out. We have a channel in Discord, a Guardians channel. If you want to join us in that endeavor, if you want to be a part of StarJump Guardians, if you have an idea for a charity, anything like that, shoot it over to us, and we are happy to look into it.
And I'll go ahead and add on that. There's a Guardian shirt on the merch store. Anyone who purchases a Guardian shirt, that money is just going to end up getting sent to Ender to put into charity pot. So that particular shirt has a unique kind of pay pipeline. So check that out. We'll try to do some more Guardians merch too, maybe like coffee mugs and other cool stuff. So all right, let's move into are we ready to move into some topics here?
100%.
Okay. Actually,
sorry, Texas asked a question I want to answer real quick.
Yeah, hit it.
Saturdays, 5:30 to 10:30-ish. We will not be doing it this Saturday because of 2 people being out. Next Saturday, we will be streaming that on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/StarJumpEnder. I'll post it in the channel here in a minute.
Yep. All right, everyone. Quick announcement, if you didn't already know, Starlet and Ender, I wanted to get your opinions on this. But Invictus information was announced this week. We all knew it was going to be happening and coming. It usually starts somewhere around May 20th, obviously. I think it's when it was last year, and that's when it is this year, and runs until around my birthday, I think, June 1st. Was it May 31st? Okay. So they released the calendar for Invictus. We have Anvil on the first day, Aegis on the following cycle. Then we're going to have an RSI, Origin, CNOW, and Argo Day, Crusader, Tumbler, Mist Day. Then Drake has its Defense Con, and then the Invictus finale, which they sometimes have like armors and then a big ship sale again. Right off the bat, the way they've done it in previous Invictuses is they've sort of set it like first, middle, and last is like the new ship thing. So obviously, we got Anvil on day 1, so it's a pretty safe bet we're getting something new from Anvil. Then we have RSI in the middle. We're pretty positive the Scorpius is the straight to flyable ship. And then
No.
Yeah, it's a big mystery. And then last but not least, there's a lot of rumors that maybe something from Drake will come out in that last day. I know people have heard the Drake Mule. Maybe that's something pledgeable. Maybe it's not. What we do know, though, about Drake is that there's a lot of Drake ships in the pipeline right now. We have the Corsair and the Vulture both in the pipeline. So, the designers have got their hands full of Drake stuff right now. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's a new Drake thing. Because when they get on those paths, they usually pump out several ships. But real quick, Starlet, let me ask you, any thoughts about the Invictus schedule? Anything that excites you about Anvil being on the first day?
This will be probably the first Invictus I don't buy a Javelin.
It'll be the first Invictus she buys me a Javelin.
So I'm feeling like quite relaxed because those limited sales are always so stressful, right?
Yeah.
And you got to get in every way. You've got to be up every 6 hours to do it. And I don't know. It's it'd be nice just to ride this one out.
Yeah. Any thoughts on the new Anvil ship, possibly? Anything you'd hope it would be?
No thoughts. Perhaps a hospital ship? I don't know.
Ender, what about you? Any thoughts on the Invictus schedule? Any wants, hopes, desires?
So I'm really happy that the 20th and 21st are Anvil. So I will not be working for Anvil Day.
I'll be here for that too, because I leave halfway through. Remember, I go on my trip. So yeah.
I'm gonna have to squeeze in a little bit of Aegis on my first 2 days on nights. So I'm not going to get a lot of time to work with the Aegis Day, but I'm going to be able to look around. I'm literally not going to have any time for.
The ships are there through the week usually. It's only the limited sales that end on that day.
No. And I'm not concerned about the limited sales.
Probably won't be any Aegis surprises.
I won't be buying anything.
Yeah.
And then RSI Day, I'm going to miss for work, but my favorite Crusader, I'm going to be there for. So I just love going and looking at the ships, spending time in these halls, and I'm really excited to see that it's on Crusader. So I'd like to see what this hall is going to look like. And of course, I am very excited for the Scorpius. I've seen a couple of people flying it. And it looks amazing. So I'm really excited to get my hands on this and try it out.
I guess the Javelin Tour is also kind of fun. And I'm assuming it's going to be there since they added docking collar to RSN.
And I hope and think it's going to be bigger. I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
I know there's a hell of a lot more Javelin interior in the game files than it used to be, but I've said too much now. Chris Roberts, where is he? Could be anywhere.
He's sneaking up behind you. That's why your background stopped working.
Exactly. He's hacking it. I'm honestly hoping for an Anvil ship somewhere in the 125 to 185 meter range. Preferably, I would love a Polaris competitor by Anvil. Specifically because the Polaris, I feel, sits in a position very unique in terms of size and role. It kind of holds a little niche all to its own. It truly is a sub-capital. But I would love to see an Anvil competitor in there, or another option would be some sort of Anvil competitor to the Nautilus. I think the Nautilus is super unique. I'm really excited about that ship, but I could see like a really cool Anvil mine layer being kind of interesting. But maybe it drops different types of mines, like stuff that the Nautilus doesn't drop. So it could be kind of interesting. Obviously, I'm a big Drake fan, so I'm pretty excited about Drake. I am less excited about whatever's coming out from Drake, if it's just Drake Mule, whether it's a crate or if the crate is what I likely think just a placeholder for a new vehicle. That will be interesting. I'm sure I'll buy it, but what I'm really excited to see is I just want to see more Corsair updates. It seems like they're really making some really good progress on the Corsair. But one thing I will think we'll see is I think we're actually going to see the Drake Vulture on the show floor. Or at least I think we could possibly get that as a surprise. Sort of like how they did the Redeemer before it was flight ready on the Aegis last time.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
I'd be surprised. Go ahead.
Wouldn't it be funny if the Drake thing is just a crate?
You know what?
Just a crate.
Let me say this about that. If it is just the crate, while it's kind of silly and weird, especially if that's a pledge thing, what it will make me excited about is that must mean that for physicalized cargo and the cargo refactor, they're going to go all in on crates and being able to build your own like crate collections. Because while that seems silly, being able to pack stuff with the cargo refactor is going to be key if you want to make money as a cargo runner. So that'll 100%. Be interesting.
People are doing it now, destroying ships to get the TSCU box from the wreckage. And
there's
putting them into their cargo bays. Yeah.
There's the boxes that are purchasable now. So that they don't even need to do that anymore because you can purchase those two boxes.
Okay.
So I think that Grim, you mentioned it earlier. They did this for the Dragonfly. Was that what they did it for? The crate that they showed that it arrived in.
It was a Dragonfly for like a real model. Yeah, I could see them. I see what you're saying there. I could totally see them doing that. Kind of riffing on that idea. I think we're looking at
a model.
Yeah, like a replace me box sort of. Yeah,
exactly. I don't think a crate is what we're gonna get. If we do, great.
I don't either.
But I think I would actually be surprised. So, Graham, you said you wouldn't be surprised if you see the Vulture. Kind of like we did with the Redeemer.
Yeah.
I would actually be surprised if we weren't able to get into the Vulture and move around in it, but we got a Corsair a lot like we got the Redeemer, where we couldn't go into it, but we could look at the outside.
Let's hope not, because I'll be in tears because I won't be around for Drake Day.
I will, and I'll take a lot of pictures.
I'll be giving you a call, and you're going to need to do a lot of screen records for me. So just be prepared.
100%.
But so it'll be just my luck, actually. That of course that will be the case.
It would be just your luck.
Yeah. But yes, so obviously possible Javelin tour. We've already heard that we're probably going to see the Bengal flying around again. That'll be cool. I really want to see that again. And check that out. And you never know what other surprises could come up. I personally feel, though, with some of the leaks that have come out, I still feel like CIG is doing that to keep. I think there's some placeholder stuff in the files. Remember, CIG can update that stuff on the fly. So, and Mud Dog says it here, and someone else said this to me earlier. If the Mule is a new Drake ground vehicle, I fully expect it will fit in the Corsair, because the Corsair was just barely able to hold a rover in its original concept, and we know they've made the Corsair bigger.
Yeah,
and the Mule looks to be smaller than the Ursa rover, which is what was in the back of the concept. Either way,
yes,
you're going to be able to fit it in. I wouldn't worry about that. All right, so that's pretty much Invictus. Really exciting. If you can't believe it, it's like happening next Friday. Isn't that crazy? Is it next Friday? Yeah, it's next Friday.
It is.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
It's exciting.
It's coming so quick.
I mean, this year has gone by fast.
Yeah,
I know.
It really has.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go into our main topic now, everyone. And there's a lot of things we want to talk about with this, and it's a topic that's not always frequently talked about, obviously, but it is it is all things immersion, really. If you could sum it up with one word, it would all be immersion. But it's really things like role play and levels of role play. It's different types of immersion, and that and those filter down to things like fashion in the verse. Player built outposts. How we can make our ships our home. You've heard about this before with like the Carrick commercial where they say Carrick is home. But essentially all this stuff filters down into this idea of what is required for us to truly feel like we're living in the verse, right? That we're in this world truly living it, and not just something we log into for an hour and do our thing and log out. So there's a lot of stuff we can talk about here. Everything from roleplay, fashion, cybernetics, outposts and homes, making our ships our homes, emergent gameplay and emergent jobs. So those would be things like gameplay loops that are not built by CIG, but gameplay loops that players create from a roleplay perspective. VR, which I'm sure Starlet has a lot of thoughts about. Maybe orgs and how they'll factor into roleplay. And then last but not least, I think we'll talk a little bit about CIG and maybe their support or not support, or not supporting roleplay. I truly hope they do, and it seems like they will.
I feel like they've already taken a stance on that. We'll get into that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with you. But let me just go ahead and Ender, I'm going to send it out to you first. What's your opinion on just roleplay in general, and what do you think it's? I'm going to use the word. What do you think its role in Star Citizen is, if any?
That's a softball pitch for you. You know the answer to this, but I'm happy to talk about this subject. So my stance on roleplay in general is everything we've ever done together. Grim and I, for those of you who may not know, we've been gaming together for 20 years plus. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's 20 years this year. So yep. 20 years.
That's true. Yeah.
We have always put an RP spin on everything that we do. Whether it be small scale, like when we were playing Ghost Recon 2,
yep, 2.
Summit Strike, to when we were 111 SOG and we were running a Milsim group in Arma 3. It's run the gamut. And I think Star Citizen is just a sandbox for role play, for people to live a different life in a universe that is just built for that. And I think its role in Star Citizen is hefty. I think we're going to be, for a change, I think we as role players will be the majority in a game that is built for that. I would be surprised if we were once again the minority in an MMO setting, like we have been in the past in things like World of Warcraft, for example, where it's just a couple of servers that are RP servers. So
yeah, that's a great point.
I think it's a big deal for this game.
Starlet, I'd probably throw the same question to you. You know, what's your opinion on role play, and you know, how do you see that fitting within Star Citizen?
I think there's two extremes. There's on one side there's the game loops, there's the PvP, there's the first-person shooting. On the other side, there's a social game relating to humans in the world through the platform. And I think there's a huge gap of roleplay that fits in varying degrees all through that distance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really hard to see now, because the game is quite small, it's quite underdeveloped in many systems at the moment. It's quite hard to see the role play sides evolving and moving towards the social games. But they have talked about it a lot in the past, and they have indicated that they are going there in some form or another. So I think, you know, if we talk about it as a community, hopefully we'll be heard, and hopefully they'll build more of this stuff in.
Yeah. And you know, my thoughts on it are, you know, CIG is kind of putting their foot forward, as you said, Ender, and made a stance on this in terms of creating a world and stuff that's just dripping with detail and authenticity. And I think the reason for that is they want you to feel like you're really there. I mean, some of the level stuff, I mean, there's been the big joke just this past week about bedsheet deformation, you know, for Squadron 42. I think it's quite clear they want us to feel like we're living and breathing in this world, the amount of work they're putting into NPCs and their behavior. But yeah, I mean, you know, RP
and just the history.
Yeah.
The
there's a lot of
that
lore.
Too.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Lore goes into, I didn't think about that. Lore is a huge backbone for RP to be based off of. And CIG's really put a lot behind that. So, you know, I think there's a lot of places we can start with just general role play, but I think one of the easiest places to start, and I'm not even saying it's the most important, but one of the easiest places to start when you're talking role play, as in many MMOs, Warcraft being a prime example, one of the most important things when it comes to immersion and role play is the paper doll dress up game and the ability to tailor your character in a way that fits your personality, and that is generally through character creation and through wardrobe, right? And CIG on both of those fronts has been making progress with the character creator, as well as we're starting to hear more and more about them pushing out unique fashion and clothing options for different locales and stuff. Who wants to jump in on this? I know, Starlet, I know you probably have some opinions on fashion in the verse and where they should go with that, where you think their current shortcomings are. And
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, from a female perspective, you know, it's just every month it's armor, and it's not, and it's a certain style of armor. It's very sort of aggressive armor. For a woman in the game right now, it's kind of actually quite crap in terms of expressing yourself. All we've got is armor and some really strangely crafted clothes that are very androgynous or rigid, or it's just not working right now. But I do understand that they are enhancing the system to handle cloth better that might make a big difference in what they can build.
Mhm.
And I do love all of the concept artwork that has been put into clothing. And there's some really unique ideas in there that I hope will be translated into the game one day.
Yeah, and as you know, for those that are watching right now, I mean, obviously we have a lot of Star Citizen concept art outfit, concept art playing here. Everything from just general everyday civilian wear to more occupational focused stuff. And whatnot, and stuff that's regional. You're seeing some military uniforms here that were some subscriber flair. They constantly show off stuff that is really impressive. I mean, you know, even in this image here, we're talking fedoras and all this stuff, different types of headwear and stuff.
Yep.
I don't know if it's difficult for this stuff to get from concept into reality, or if they're just holding off on really diving into some of those clothing options. But I feel like fashion is one of those things that I constantly get excited about, because they'll talk about it and they'll talk about how, hey, we're making outlaw clothing or outlaw attire for pyro. And in your head, you're thinking, "Oh, it's the Han Solo, it's the leather, the vest, and but then what it ends up being is, again, aggressive armor with some like blood spatter on. You know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah.
we've yet to really see these fashion options that they've been showing in all the concept artwork. And yeah, go ahead, Ender.
Well, especially like the Orset civilians, the picture that's played over and over, you know, with 4 females side by side.
Yeah.
There's a lot of complaints that there aren't any clothing that really fit on females, that fit the form, that show off the form. And I agree with that partly. Part of me is like, there should be more. Part of me wonders if they're not doing it on purpose. But then again, you look at the art that we're seeing, and it's form fitting. It shows off the female form really well. So it's hard to tell if they're going for a more androgynous look, or if they're saying, well, eventually we'll get to a point where the female clothing will be better. I'm hoping that we get better clothing, and as Griff said at one point, more areas to just pull our armor off and just wear clothing. I think that's going to come in the form of a lot of RP. You know, there's going to be times when we just strip our armor, put on some regular clothes, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
And that's role play for us. But I hope it comes soon.
I think we'll see a little bit of that when our armor sets actually have power associated with them, and a lot of those subsystems that we know they're bringing into armors, because they're essentially going to be miniature spacesuits, and you're not going to want to drain the battery on those by walking around Area 18. You're going to want to put your gear on. What's critical there, and I'm really excited that, because I think it was Todd Pappy actually said this is coming. He said it when Sandy Roberts interviewed him. Someone talked about it. They talked about doing quick change options where you're going to be able to save presets of clothing. So you might save your, hey, this is my everyday civilian wear, and it's a shirt and a pants and a hat and a this and that, and that's saved as a preset. So when you get out of your ship, you're going to be able to just hit that preset, and as long as the stuff's in your inventory, it'll switch out that gear for all in one button. That's key, because that was really big in Warcraft. People want the ability to switch clothing easily, and Warcraft went even farther with that, where people wanted to change clothes so much that they couldn't carry all the clothing around with them. So they ended up coming up with transmog, where once you acquired the clothing, it became part of your transmog set, which didn't take up any of your bag room and allowed you to switch clothing at will. And that really was a boon to the role play community, and allowed people, because look, when you're role playing, you have to look the part. You just straight up do. It's like being on stage in a play. You have to look the part.
I really worry about their attitude towards sexualizing characters too much. I think they've taken it to an absolute extreme to make everything very very PG and
Yeah.
very dull and very boring, and I think they've taken it too far.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I don't. We're all. You know, most of the backers are adults. We're all adults, basically. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some settings they can do to have stuff not visible or extra stuff visible when it's appropriate for younger players. I'm sure there are ways around it. We don't want to be walking around a universe, in power armor all the time. Surely.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
And this is obviously a controversial thing, but in my opinion, it added a lot to the feeling of living in a real world. You know, in Warcraft, when I played on Moonguard's server, which is one of the big roleplay servers, it was well known. There was actually articles written about how Goldshire down in Elwyn Forest was like the big ERP, the big erotic roleplay area. And if you were a part of a reputable roleplay guild, you never wanted to go down there because, if someone finds out I was down in Goldshire, they're going to think I'm a big ERPer and whatever. But I actually love the idea that existed. And the reason is it felt like there was like the red light district of town. You know what I mean? Like it felt like whether you went there or not, the idea that it was there, I liked. And it would be so cool in Star Citizen if there were areas where if you went out to Pyro and you're on some abandoned corner of a pyro station, that there's a lot of players in there. Maybe they are just a little bit more sleazy and it's a little bit more of a red light district or what have you. And maybe
everybody knows Grimhex needs a club, dancing club or something like that.
Yeah.
Totally.
And like a big like rave like techno club and all kinds of stuff. I mean, here's the thing. Again, this goes into a little bit of like the problems with sexuality in America, where it's like we're fine having a game where you can like blow people apart with grenade launchers and you can buy, Widow or whatnot, which is essentially drugs. But God forbid if some cleavage is shown. So I would hope they lighten up on that a little bit to bring that feel into the game. We'll see how that plays out. I'm worried they're going to take it way too safe. But we'll see.
Well, you almost wonder if they're not waiting for this to get better legs under it. I think is the best way to put it. For them to have legs underneath it so that it's not just this alpha state. Maybe it's going to be great. I think it genuinely will, but I think this is where their mindset is. Yeah. Maybe it's going to be great, or maybe we're going to screw it up. I think they're waiting, and then they're going to add that more nuanced area. Look at the art that we're seeing. You know what I mean? With the girl wearing purple. It's showing off more of her midriff, more of her cleavage. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And I don't see them backing off of that, because their concept art alone is very, it already pushes the boundaries of what would be okay, in most American, video games. And keep in mind, female armor in World of Warcraft alone, let's just talk World of Warcraft. The female armor is already super scantily clad.
Yeah.
So they're okay with that, but they're not going to be okay with that in Star Citizen. I see it happening. I see us getting more, bras and then pants. You know what I mean?
There's two
very
points.
Jack.
There's 2 points I'll add to that. And you bring up a good point. One point I'll add is maybe we just haven't hit the point in the game's alpha development where they feel they need to blow out the clothing options yet. You know what I mean? Because maybe that's such a low priority. But the other thing may be that when you're looking at these things right here, you can see they're showing off, this is like Orison stuff. Now, we don't even have like these skirts and stuff, which would be cool to see for Orison. But also in Stanton, we're primarily dealing with a system where you have very high level societies like Microtech and Orison, where maybe from a lore perspective, there aren't like red light districts in Orison, it's a very high class thing. And even like places like, Loreville and stuff, maybe it's so oppressive that people there aren't worried about that. But maybe in the future we will have a system that has like the red light planet or what have you that gets a little bit more risky. Again, I'm not expecting them to go full on space prostitute, but something that's a little bit more sleazier, a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more, edgy. And we do see that in some of the concept art. Some of that Ninetales concept art is very cyberpunk, and it gets a little, I wouldn't call it scandalous, but it's starting to put a toe into that area. But fundamentally,
it's part of life,
Yeah, I mean,
and if they're going to make life in the verse, they're going to make life in the verse. You would hope.
But it goes the other direction too, though. Like this filters into things like military uniforms, things like just having manufacturer wear. Like, can I have a pair of Drake BDUs? Can I have just not even armor, but clothing to support every what am I trying to say? Gameplay loop. So sets of clothing that are like what a typical cargo runner would wear, clothing that a miner would wear, that a refining person would wear, and we see some of that in the concept art. But like it would be cool to see undersuits that are a little bit more military leaning and stuff. It would be interesting to see, what other gameplay, like stuff that's a little bit more like science based, like explorer based and stuff like that. I have to hope that we'll get some of that like gameplay loop, occupational loop, specific clothing options in the future. And not even just clothing, but like backpacks and armors. And specifically there, I would like to be able to see armors that shake hands with certain industries a little better. We have the one Gray Cat industrial armor, and it really just kind of looks like armor. They do have one thing on it where they have like these like handles that are kind of cool that are built into the armor that look industrial, but I would love them to go a little bit more a little bit further into that. You know what I mean? Like there's the Gray Cat armor that's industrial, but it also just sort of looks like heavy armor. I think they could lean into that a lot more. So yeah. To keep us moving here, one of the other things that is talked about when it comes to fashion is things like cybernetics, which I don't think I got the video ready for. Sorry, everyone. I had a video for that, but we know they're going to bring cybernetics in and stuff when you're injured. That to me is a very big nod to role play in and of itself, right? So being able to see that, and looks like Starlet's adjusting a little bit of the air conditioning in the 890. Got a little warm in there for us. She's going to go ahead and turn that down. But things like cybernetics, and then that even filters in, to other things like outposts and ships, right? Where we call our home and whatnot. And there's different ways to look at that level of immersion, having a place that you could truly call home. Well, I can tell you right now, the number one day, like I can easily say, hey, I'm looking forward to Pyro. I'm looking forward to my Kraken.
Sure.
But the number one thing I am looking forward to in Star Citizen is the day where me and Ender can fly out, survey a moon, find a place we want to call home, and start building.
Oh, God.
That's going to be it's going to be a big red letter day for me for Star Citizen, because the act of building that home means, hey, I'm now living in the verse. And there's a philosophical sort of thing going on there. But then there's the other extreme of that, which you're seeing with Starlet right now, which is the whole VR aspect. So not only just having that home, but being truly in it. So let's talk a little bit about that. We've heard a lot about colonial outposts pretty heavily over the last year, obviously for NPCs first, but CIG knows what they're doing. They know all this colonial outpost stuff they're showing us they're showing us what outposts are going to be like when we can build them. Let's be honest. Starlet, I'm going to hand this one over to you first. What are your thoughts on making a home within the verse, whatever that means, whether it's through VR, living on your ship, living on a planet side, and how to make the Star Citizen universe fully envelop you. What are your thoughts on that a little bit? And what do you hope to see? What is your kind of red flag day in Star Citizen?
Yeah, it's because they're limited in that they can't allow any of us to upload our own content, which might seem strange to gamers who haven't experienced those kind of platforms. But when you've experienced the ability to create whatever you want, it's kind of mind-blowing, and it's kind of the variety is just incredible. They're going to have to create a lot of variety to make it work.
Yeah.
And they're just going to have to pour tons and tons of effort into lots of assets to have lots of things customizable. I mean, we'll get our little trophies and fish tanks and things to go in our habs or hangars to start with, but it's nowhere near enough. I mean, they've got to make if they want people to feel immersed and feel like it's a living in space. If they want that, they have to put a huge amount of effort into assets.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's going to need to be enough variety there where something feels like you. Ender, your thoughts on this? Homes and living within the verse from that perspective?
Homes are going to be amazing. I'm just like you. I'm waiting for that time. But at the same time, look at what we're looking at with Starlet right now. She is walking through an 890 jump. Yeah. Imagine a time when you can do this with your homestead, with your ship. I've never done anything in VR. I've got a computer now that can handle it, but I've still never really delved into VR.
I haven't either, yeah.
But
other than like Track IR, which is not
Track
the same,
IR is not the same.
Bleeds a line of immersion. It's still a level of immersion. Yeah, absolutely.
But imagine, moving through Starlet's behind the bar in the 890 right now. Imagine being able to pick up a bottle and she goes and picks up a damn bottle. Yeah. Imagine being able to pick up a bottle. She dropped it. Pick up a bottle, pour a drink, and have a person able to drink that drink. Now, does everybody have to be in that VR? No. You know what I mean? What if I get VR, I try it, and I'm just like, I can't do this.
Okay.
Nice.
It's so awesome. But imagine being able to do that and merge that with people who aren't playing in VR. The immersion is still there. I have a friend literally reaching out and grabbing a drink and pouring me a drink that I can then in-game drink. That is awesome. I can't wait for this.
I don't necessarily either think that like VR has to be the preferred way you immerse yourself for every situation.
Exactly.
Like I would love to see just people that just want to get on and role play one night, meaning have a party on their 890 and that's their VR moment. But then when they're doing a bunker mission the next night, they're just going to go, they're not going to be all VR. I think that's okay. And my only worry with Star Citizen is that knowing CIG's level of nuance they apply to anything is that they'll want VR to be dialed in for everything. And my argument there is it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be, they just need to make the hooks there that people can do it if they want. And, your performance, your experience will vary. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be perfect for them. Same thing with like joysticks. Some people love them. Yes. Some people don't use them,
No one's going to take away your keyboard. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're headed on a trajectory here because VR is taking off like mad. Look, I'm here in a relatively affordable headset. I can move my hands. I can move my legs. I can wiggle my feet. Mm-hmm. I can wiggle my hips. It all works, and it works in a way that feels incredibly immersive that you can't get from WASD on the keyboard.
Yeah.
So you add all of that tracking to just being able to be in the space. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah,
and I don't think they can avoid that. It's going to become
and I don't think they should.
a mainstay of gaming.
Yeah, I think they should be open to what level of input we want in that regard, because while I don't know the VR experience, at the same time, I go to Starlet's hero view for a minute here. She makes drinks. At the same time, I know, and Ender can probably agree with this. The first time you do track IR and like Arma or Star Citizen, you know you're playing a different way than you were.
And if I can point out to that, it's a whole different. You don't just know you're playing a different way. You don't realize how important that is until it gets taken away after you've gotten used to it.
Oh yeah,
that's some Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc, 1982.
I love it. Because take for example, Track R. I've got it sitting on my headset right now. I know when I don't have it in game because I'll turn my head just barely, and I won't be able to look around. And I cannot stand it. And it used to be, there was a time that Grim first got me into this and got me using this, that I wouldn't, realize it was gone because I didn't use it very often.
Yeah.
Because I was in a situation where I couldn't. But then I got into a situation where I could, and from that point on, there was no way I was not doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's a great view, by the way. I'm just going to go ahead and point that out. I love it.
Super good.
But
happy with that view.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that, Ender. It's really hard to put it into words until you try it. A lot of people have had this same experience with Tobii Eye Tracker and other things too. While those aren't VR, they bring you into the game in a new way. I would also put FOIP in the same category of stuff that adds to the immersion level. And again, it goes into like, how far is CIG willing to go? And for me, the funny thing is a lot of people think, well, it's not important to me because I'm not a role player, right? But here's something I would put out for people that are not role players. You should want role players to be playing in the game you're playing.
Oh yeah.
And the reason is they will make the game better and the experience better if you're surrounded with people that are even pretending to be a part of this world versus someone who's running around just constantly, teabagging people saying, I love the spooge. You know what I mean? It's part of the atmosphere.
Yeah. Take the least liked type of person currently. And I say least liked carefully. And that's a pirate. Okay. Take a pirate right now.
Yeah.
And put them into the full universe, and then put yourself into that universe with them. You're a bounty hunter and you're going after a bounty. You've got me, who is a role player, and you've got Joe Blow, who is not. You kill Joe Blow, and Joe Blow is sitting there talking about how your mom is the worst and you should go fuck yourself and blah, 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 blah. But you come after me, you kill me. I'm not going to do that. I may, on the other hand, put a bounty out for you. Which makes your life a little more interesting, because as a PvPer myself, budding, I'm not great at it, but I'm okay. I gotta be honest. If you shoot at me and you put me into a situation where I'm getting chased by a bunch of criminals who want to get a bounty, man, I'm going to be excited by that. That's going to be great. Oh, look at the TV.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, you're exactly right, Ender.
And that's the difference that you don't get anywhere else.
In some ways, your role play ends up becoming this sort of feedback environment that even if you're not directly a part of it, you sort of reap the benefits of it. And that's why, to me, it's always something I look for in a game. Even when you're talking something like Arma 3, where it wasn't exactly role play, it was milsim, but it still meant people taking the game much more serious than other people. Didn't mean you didn't have fun. Didn't mean you didn't
Right.
crack up. Didn't mean you didn't have nights where you're falling on the floor laughing. It just meant that you approached it in a different way. You
Yes.
weren't coming and going, so to speak, within the world. You were a part of it. You had a presence in it. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
kind of leads me to I guess the next thing. We don't have too much longer on the show tonight, everyone. We have one more thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to immersion and get Starlet and Ender's opinions on this. But Starlet, I'll hand it off to you first. What's your opinion on the ability for CIG to put in enough gameplay freedom that we're allowed to create our own gameplay loops, our own ways of doing things? For example, we just heard recently about item loops, or it's sort of leaking out that item loops are being added, or item ports are being added for dashboards of ships, maybe, so we can put like bobbleheads and stuff on our dashboards. I know some of that's coming out, and we've heard CIG talk about that, so it's not really a leak. In the future, if we can imagine you can go to a store and you can buy like a little bar with four stools, and it fits on a 4x2x1 cargo grid spacing, and you can put that in your ship, any ship that has that much cargo space, and then boom, you've got a little makeshift bar, and then boom, you've turned your Carrack into a speakeasy, and then the ability to run transactions using maybe the MoTrader app. How far do you think, how important do you think it is for CIG to go down and give us the ability to create our own gameplay loops, our own jobs, our own, that type of stuff?
I think it really depends on what they're building. It's entirely, I mean, all that stuff is possible, and it would be amazing. Half the player base is just into PvP. The other half would absolutely love this stuff. So we just got to make our voices heard, and hopefully that stuff will be added.
Yeah, Ender, one of the things I was saying when you stepped away was that that's all right. There's been some leaks just in the last day or so about possibly 3.17.1, maybe item ports coming to ships, at least for the dashboards, so that maybe we can have bobbleheads and whatnot, which directly goes into that conversation about item ports and ships in general, right? So being able to put a jukebox in your ship, or a bar, or a whatever. And that kind of led me to think about, what if you could get like a bar with some stools and put that in your cargo bay and run like a speakeasy out of your Carrack, you know what I mean? And using your MoTrader app, charge people, and there's drinks there that they can take, whatever. How important do you think it is for CIG to give us the freedom of gameplay to create our own gameplay loops and our own cycles for roleplay purposes? Because, one of the things on a lot of roleplay games, you see this a lot in Warcraft, is that people will create their own like bars and taverns, or their own shops, where they're not really creating a transaction. They just have a bunch of stuff in their inventory, and someone will give them $1 for it, and you hand it over. How important do you think that is for good roleplay on a server?
I think it's vital for good roleplay on a server. Having the ability to create your own stuff. I mean, you and I did it a time or two, where we started running the bar in Stormwind for no reason other than just to try it.
Yep.
I think having those player characters as bartenders is going to be important, where they can buy up items and sell them to people, even if it's not for a profit. They're still doing a job that is fun, and it's an entertainment piece for us who like to role play. Yeah. So I think it's vital that we have the ability to do that.
What were you going to say, Starlet?
Totally agree with you, Ender. And
again, it's the type of thing that it's like, imagine how cool it would be to be in some abandoned space station in Pyro. And again, I would hope they would put locations that players could sort of overtake, and you find a someone running a bar out of there, or someone running some sort of illicit business out of there. Maybe that org, maybe their main thing is to buy up all the drugs in a system as much as they can. They have vast money reserves. They buy up all the widow they can, and then they overtake, Grundo, and now they're running a drug lab essentially out of Grundo that's completely player driven. And I think that's the key, is that even if you're not directly involved in that, just knowing it exists is something really interesting. Now, obviously, there's a lot of technical concerns that pop up with server meshing and other things. But that aside,
it's fascinating, right? They've put all this work into creating an NPC run economy to avoid the issues with the player run economies of the past. But will it be fun?
And that may be fun. Yeah, that may be Star Citizen's future, is a very NPC driven economy where the players play a very tertiary role. But again, as long as they give us the hooks, we could very easily have a role to play in that economy. And what I mean by that is, with this new refueling gameplay, it's going to be cool to see players create their own refueling orgs and just fly around broadcasting that. That to me is exciting. While I have no interest in doing that myself, I love the fact that they're there. You know what I mean? Hopefully there'll be people flying around with medical ships doing the same thing. But I would love to see it go beyond that. I would love to see people have ships that can do other things, that and not just ships, but people flying around in a 600i, and they can put out a beacon for cantina service, and people are like, hey, got an open, I'm throwing a rave party on my 600. Come stop by. Here's where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, things like ship security and other stuff starts coming into play, but that is the risk you take in a live server world like this.
Right.
And that's, again, that feedback, that's going to feed back into something else, where if you're the person that's like, you know what, I got my giant Drake Kraken, I want to have a big party in the cargo bay. You now maybe need to hire another org that's going to do security for the event, both orbiting and other ships, but then on board your ship security. So again, that feeds back into the player experience to me. So
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
So that was a really interesting talk. I mean, obviously we could go on and on and on about immersion in Star Citizen. Before we go into last, kind of announcements and stuff, I want to hand it over to both my co-hosts for a second and give them any parting words on the main topic, parting words on immersion or role play or any of that. Starlet, I hand it over to you first. You got any final thoughts on immersion and role play within Star Citizen that you want to kind of bring up?
The potential is just amazing. Like, if they choose to harness it, if they choose to build these things out, proper VR support, proper body tracking support, options of how to express yourself and how to create your own spaces and things. Wouldn't it be just so fun to be flying around this universe and having fun with friends in it? It'd be amazing. And I think there's a huge opportunity there to head towards those more social experiences. Without taking anything away from the people who like PvP or the people who like game loops, the people who like keyboards. We're not taking anything away from that, but the possibilities are awesome.
And the good thing is to note on that is that CIG is really building this game in a way where VR and that type of level of immersion should be very, I don't want to say easy to implement, but easier than most games to implement, because everything's got a physicalized presence in the game, or that's at least their goal. So, and I'll just point out to Citizen Ed in chat and to other people in chat. Exactly. He brings up Ultima and MedRunner and some of those orgs that are already doing that. I really salute those orgs and champion what they're trying to do, because those orgs bring in, even if I never interact with them, I love that they're there. I really, truly love that they're there. Absolutely. Ender, parting thoughts on roleplay and immersion?
I think the roleplay aspect is vital to Star Citizen being successful. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of us are an older crowd. There are younger kids now. I say kids. I'm an old man, I guess. But there are younger generations playing the game. But I think a lot of us are an older generation who have been looking for a particular game for a very long time, much like you and I have, Grim.
Yep.
And we found that for a while in Arma, but I really think we found the potential for what we've always been looking for together to play in Star Citizen. And I think roleplay is a vital part of that for most of us. And I do believe that RSI, CIG know that. And I think that they are really supporting what this could be. I think VR is part of that future.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think VR is part of that future. I don't think it's a necessary part. By that, I mean, I don't think everybody will need it, but I do think it's a vital part that many will want to have and should have.
Yeah.
So I'm excited by the future of this game. I'm excited by what we will see in the future of this game.
Yeah. Again, big shout out to both of my hosts for being on with me tonight. It's been a while since we've all been together. It's been fun just to get back together. Not a super long episode, but it was fun to sort of test the new streaming system, make sure everything was working. So Starlet and Ender, obviously, thanks for joining me again.
Thanks for having me.
Last but not least, I want to just touch on real quick. Do not forget our amazing merch store. That support goes directly back into StarJump projects. So shout out there to the merch store. Thank you, Ender. Go check out our merch. We got a lot of fun stuff. And I think maybe this weekend or next week, I'll try to add some new stuff to that. But the stuff's pretty reasonably priced. So go grab it. We try to keep a very low profit margin on that to get it to you all, as cheap as possible. And then last but not least,
that link.
Thank you, Ender. Appreciate that. And then obviously, last but not least, go check out our Patreon. We really appreciate any support through Patreon. We try to do some unique rewards on that, monthly 4K wallpapers, custom wallpapers, even the opportunity in some tiers to get a custom ship livery in the StarJump Fleet Viewer. So a lot of really cool stuff, free StarJump merch, et cetera, et cetera. So go check out our Patreon if you haven't already. Again, while I'm pimping Patreon a little bit, I do want to point out that all StarJump content will always be free in terms of like the Fleet Viewer, Chronicles, our cinematics. None of that stuff will ever be paywalled. It'll all be free to everyone. So you don't have to support financially to get access to that stuff. But we do appreciate any and all financial support. Thank you so much. Ender, any parting words in regards to Guardians before we head out?
Guys, we're trying to do really, really great stuff with Guardians, but we absolutely need the support that we have been getting quite a bit of from our community. Yes. But we need more support, genuinely. I would love to be able to say confidently that I can raise this amount of money, but we can't. Look, we can only raise so much. And a lot of that depends on you guys. We're doing giveaways. We're trying to incentivize donations and help. But these are really, really great causes. If you have questions about our causes, if you're curious, if you want to suggest a cause, hit our Discord up, discord.gg/StarJump, and let us know. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to talk at length about it.
Or if you want to commit, and help out Guardians in different ways, like if you have a shipping package or a ship that you're willing to put up for a giveaway for charity, definitely reach out to Ender. He's the one that all that stuff flows through, and that's really his baby. So there's a lot of ways to help out on that, whether it's through Patreon, our merch store, offering up gift package or game packages or ships or whatever to donate. Hopefully we'll be able to get CIG tied in with that at some point in the future as well.
Yes.
But yeah, that's pretty much it, everyone. It was awesome seeing Starlet broadcasting live from the 890 jump, the Great Gatsby. That was really, really cool. Starlet, thanks for putting that together on short notice.
Yes.
everyone, again, if you're interested in Fleet Viewer, we've hit some really big milestones in the last 2 weeks. And one thing I'll say too, going back to the Patreon, is that Patreon subscribers, even the $2 ones, you get access to my Patreon blog posts. And I've been posting some Patreon exclusive previews of Fleet Viewer in there that I'm not posting anywhere else, not on Twitter, not on the Discord, nowhere. They're on Patreon only, and there's some cool stuff that you may not have known was in Fleet Viewer that's being previewed there. So that being it, to my fellow hosts, Ender, Starlet, thank you so much for joining me. It was awesome to talk to you again. I really truly missed you too. Really truly missed you too. So
Very good to be able to.
Yeah, that's going to be it for everyone. Obviously, Invictus is next week. It's very possible we could do kind of an impromptu show next week. Maybe it won't be well planned or really formatted very well, but if there's any new big announcements, we might throw together a 30-minute or hour-long episode just to casually discuss them or whatnot. So expect that.
Yeah.
Everyone in chat, thank you for supporting us and hanging out with us. And until next time, this has been a StarJump Station. Everyone have a good night.
Bye all.
Okay.